Dobry wieczór. Tutaj William. Witajcie na cotygodniowym podsumowaniu Polski i Irlandzkiej wiadomości ze mną, Williama Murphy. Witam was bardzo serdecznie. The main news stories this week have included presidential candidates criss-cross the country in a frantic campaign for votes ahead of the first round ballot. Andrzej Duda hits back at international press criticism of his stance on LGBT rights. 330,000 Poles living abroad registered to vote in the presidential election, including record numbers in Ireland. And Ryanair unveils an extensive schedule of flights to Poland from the UK and Ireland, as Poland further relaxes travel restrictions. With a total of 11 candidates confirmed for the first ballot in the presidential election, the contenders have been busy criss-crossing the country in the hunt for the votes needed to get into the second round. The polls continue to point to incumbent President Andrzej Duda and Rafał Trzaskowski, the candidate of the main opposition party, Platforma Obywatelska, as most likely to secure those two spots. This week, President Duda faced considerable criticism in the international media following a speech he gave in Brzeg last Saturday, in which he spoke on the subject of LGBT rights, one of the hot-button issues in the contest. In his speech, which his opponents claimed was designed to play the anti-LGBT card to mobilise socially conservative voters behind him, Duda spoke of what he termed LGBT ideology and drew comparison between it and Soviet-era communist indoctrination. The speech was extensively reported on, including by, amongst others, Reuters, the AP news agency and the Financial Times. The Polish state news agency reported Duda as saying that throughout the communist era that followed the Second World War, Polish children were forced to embrace communist ideology in schools, adding that was Bolshevism. Today, there are also attempts to force our children into an ideology, but different, a completely new one. That is neo-Bolshevism. Duda hit back at the foreign criticism with a series of Twitter posts in English on Sunday, in which he said that, yet again, as part of dirty political fight, my words are put out of context. I truly believe in diversity and equality. At the same time, beliefs of a minority cannot be imposed on a majority under the false pretense of tolerance. In our times, truth has become a scared little creature that hides from much stronger correctness. He finished with the comment that, I believe in tolerance to any views, so please stop distributing fake news. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministerstwo Spraw Zagranicznych, reported that around 330,000 eligible Poles living outside the country have registered to vote by absentee ballot in the presidential election, for the vast majority of electors by means of postal ballot, due to restrictions imposed by the authorities of the countries in which they are resident. A total of 169 voting districts have been created abroad, in which postal voting only will be possible in 74 districts. Deputy Foreign Minister Piotr Wawrzyk said on Monday that postal voting will be the only option in countries including the US, UK and Germany, with large numbers of Polish nationals. This is, of course, also the case in Ireland. The 330,000 figure includes over 22,000 Poles living in this country who registered for the presidential election, which is approximately 20% of those eligible. Such a relatively high figure for those voting from abroad was last seen in the 2007 parliamentary elections, when 21,333 people registered to vote, and in the 2010 presidential election, when 20,403 people registered to vote. More than 100,000 Poles living in the United Kingdom have registered for the election, along with 50,000 in Germany and over 25,000 in the United States. As the easing of restrictions continues apace in Poland, as of Wednesday, it was officially reported that the number of people who've tested positive for COVID-19 now stands at 30,701, with 1,286 deaths being attributed to the virus, most of whom had pre-existing medical conditions. There continues to be concern over Poland's mines. Of the 506 new cases confirmed on Wednesday, 209 were in the Silesia coal-producing region. On Tuesday, the Polish and German foreign ministers, Jacek Czaputowicz and Heiko Maas respectively, held talks in Warsaw on a wide range of topics, reportedly ranging from EU affairs to bilateral relations, coronavirus, and historical questions between the two countries. The meeting came after Poland moved to reassure Germany over suggestions it wanted US troops moved from there to Poland. On Monday, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki told the BNS Baltic News Service that he wanted to increase US troop levels in Poland, but said, "It is not our intention to achieve this goal at the expense of reducing the American contingent in Germany." The Wall Street Journal had reported the US planned to cap troop numbers in Germany at 25,000, where 34,500 US troops are currently deployed. Meanwhile, last Friday, the Presidential Chief of Staff, Krzysztof Sterski, had strongly rebutted as total disinformation a Reuters press agency claim that plans for an enhanced US military presence in Poland, dubbed Fort Trump, have stalled due to arguments over paying for the deployment and the location of the US presence, with the Polish side seeking a location in the east of the country. The US ambassador to Poland, Georgette Mosbacher, said last week that discussions over an increased US military presence in Poland are on track and to expect an announcement soon. She tweeted, "More fake news. Negotiations are on track." President Trump and President Duda's vision for increased US presence in Poland will be even greater than originally outlined. Announcement coming soon. On Wednesday, there were unconfirmed reports that President Duda may hold talks with President Trump at the White House as early as next week. Such a meeting would likely take place in the context of the announcement of an increased US military presence in Poland, and if prior to either the first or second rounds of the presidential election, would be viewed as designed to provide a boost to his re-election campaign. On Tuesday, the Secretary of State, or Junior Minister, with responsibility for strategic energy infrastructure, Piotr Naimski, warned that the money Poland pays for Russian gas supplies is later used to finance that country's military expenditure. He repeated that Poland would stop buying Russian gas after its current long-term contract with Gazprom expires in 2022. On Monday, officials had confirmed that Gazprom would return around $1.5 billion to Poland by July the 1st. It had overcharged for gas supplies, following a ruling by an international arbitration panel. In a tragic incident, a 48-year-old man set himself ablaze outside the Polish Parliament building on Tuesday afternoon. According to press reports, the man was conscious when taken to hospital. His exact motives are unknown, but before setting himself on fire, he approached reporters and inquired if they were involved in investigative journalism and shouted, "There is no justice in this country." Poland remains set to go nuclear. On Monday, the Minister of Climate, Michał Kurtyka, said that construction of Poland's first nuclear power plant is expected to commence in 2026, with the first reactor operating in 2033. He said that the majority of the country's coal-fired power plants are coming to the end of their lives, and major decisions need to be taken about the energy sector. Ryanair has announced the resumption of 79 routes from the UK and Ireland to Poland as part of its 2020 summer schedule. Ryanair's Alejandra Ruiz said that Ryanair, Europe's #1 airline, is pleased to offer a total of 79 routes to Poland from the UK and Ireland this summer. These routes will operate from the 21st of June as part of our summer 2020 schedule. He added that customers in UK and Ireland can now book seats on flights to Poland for June, July and August, and finally begin to restart Europe's economies and reunite families and friends. From yesterday, Poland allowed the resumption of international flights to most European Union countries, having suspended scheduled international flights on March 15th. No date has yet been given for the resumption of scheduled long-haul flights. Domestic flights were resumed on June 1st. On Tuesday, it was announced that a series of commemorations, including a special website and film premieres, will take place in August to mark the 100th anniversary of the victory of Polish over Soviet Russian forces in the 1920 Miracle of the Vistula. Culture Minister Piotr Gliński said that a new museum marking the life of Józef Piłsudski will be opened in Sulejówek near Warszawa. A series of cultural, religious and military events are expected to be held to mark the 100th anniversary. Tuszesku na Czynczyzn. Zapraszam na kolejny podsumowanie za tydzień o tym samym proże. Dobranoc.